أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So alhamdulillah, we're at Surah Al Ikhlas, Surah number 112, and just to understand the position of this, because this positioning is very important, because now that we've reached the stage in the previous surah, we learned about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the Prophet ﷺ good news of his enemies being destroyed, right? In Surah Al-Nasr, basically with the victory coming in the latter part of the seerah, versus the destruction of Abu Lahab and his wife, his main, one of his main enemies during his life in the early part of Meccan period. But when you basically are on a mission, sometimes you get distracted with your enemies and you forget what your purpose is. And a lot of companies have this on a year-to-year basis where they have like staff gatherings and they get their staff together to do what? To rethink about what the purpose and mission and vision of the company is, right? So they have to do this once a year at least. Why? To remind everybody, listen, we need to go back on track, because sometimes you get distracted and sometimes you lose focus. You start going off track of your. So this is where this position of this surah is, to remind the Prophet ﷺ of what the objective is. What the objective is not victory. Remember we said, what is the objective? What is your vision? What is your mission? What is the legacy you're fulfilling? It's the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the legacy of Tawheed, the legacy of purifying this house for the purpose it was built. It was built to worship the one God, Allah alone, with no partners. Right? What happened to Mecca over the years? There's like 360 idols there, and there's corruption happening, and so the whole concept, the legacy is not been continued. So that was the vision of the Prophet, and that was his mission. And what we learn from this surah also is, because there's a very dry way of looking at the surah where it's just about not associating partners with Allah and shirk and these things, but then you don't really relate to it, and it doesn't become a lesson that we can relate to in our lives. So many Muslims, you ask them, are you a mushrik? They'll be like, no, I'm not a mushrik. Of course, I don't bow down to idols. I don't have any idols in my house. I don't wear the cross or anything. I believe in God as one. Well, Quraysh also believed in God. They believed in Allah. They actually used the term Allah in their day-to-day language. Wallah and Tallah. They used to use it. So they knew who Allah was, and they believed in Him being the creator. They believed in Him being the creator. But yet, and we'll notice in the surah that this surah is very closely connected to Surah Al-Kafirun. And the Prophet ﷺ, his sunnah was to pray with these two surahs, and the first thing in the morning every day, before Salat al-Fajr. In the sunnah of Fajr, he used to recite Surah Al-Kafirun in the first rak'ah and Surah Al Ikhlas in the second rak'ah. So there is a very strong connection between the two. Although they're not consecutively ordered in the Quran, there's a couple of surahs in between, but they're both connected in terms of their message. And also in the way they're structured, both start with قُل يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ and قُل هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Okay? And so, one of the main purpose of this surah is actually to tell or explain to Quraysh, like in Surah Al-Kafirun, what did the Prophet said? You have your deen, I have your deen. Right? I don't worship what you worship, you don't worship what I worship. Past, present, future, it's not going to happen. It's not happening now, it will never happen. And never did it happen in the past. Negating all forms of association with them. But then the question is now, how do you clarify to Quraysh what is wrong in their belief? And how do you clarify to them what is my deen? What's wrong with your deen and what's right about my deen? What is my deen about, and what is your deen not doing to match my deen? So this surah is actually an explanation of where Quraysh went wrong, why their concept of ubudiyyah is wrong, and what is the right concept. This is like the surah that's basically 1/3 of the Quran, because 1/3 of the Quran talks about Tawheed. It talks about the oneness of Allah. And if you think about the concept of oneness of Allah, ask any child, any Muslim child, how many Allahs do we have? They'll be like one. Where is Allah? He's up there. And so, is that what Tawheed is all about? numbers? Is it just a numbers thing, or is it more than that? Because for a lot of Muslims, it's just become number. Allah is one, and you put the finger up like this, and you say, Alhamdulillah, I'm Muslim, I believe in Tawheed. This is Tawheed, yeah. And that's it. But where is Tawheed in their lives? Where is Tawheed in their hearts? Where is Tawheed in their actions, in their attitude, in the way of thinking? That's what this surah is about. And that's what's not, like you read the translation of this, you'll be done in like 10 seconds, right? God is one, and if you go over the translation, let's read the translation. Say He is Allah who is one. Allah Samad, Allah the eternal refuge. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He neither begets nor is born. Wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. Nor there's to Him is any equivalent. Done. But this is 1/3 of the Quran, yani. So it's going to be very challenging for me to like really wrap up some of the lessons here in less than an hour. But I'll try my best, inshallah. Of course, this will be nothing compared to the actual meanings, because according to a lot of the tafsirs I've read, that the lessons in this surah are, yani, really, really heavy, and they cover all parts of deen, all parts of Tawheed. It destroys any ideology out there, whatever it is, Christianity, Hinduism, atheism. The arguments made in this surah are enough to destroy any other ideology, if we really went deep into it. But I'll try to, inshallah, share some of the lessons that are relevant to our lives and our times, because these are just, this is not a tafsir, this is a reflection. I'm not qualified to do tafsir in the first place. So one thing interesting about the order in terms of, the previous surah was Surah Al-Masad. Tabbat yada abi lahabi wa tab ma aghna anhu maluhu wa ma kasab. Right? And so the rhyme sequence is continuing here. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, masad, samad, yalid wa lam yulad. You notice? So there's a continuation of rhymes with the previous surah. But now what's happening is we're learning what the mission is. And here, Surah Al Ikhlas starts off by saying, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allah is one. But another meaning here is that there is one purpose for all Muslims. There is one common mission and one common vision that all Muslims should share. This is what unites us. And in the tafsir of Allama Iqbal, Muhammad Iqbal, the famous Pakistani poet who, mashallah, did great work in terms of poetry and stuff. He actually, his view was that this surah teaches us unity as an ummah. That we need to be united as an ummah, and unity of purpose also. That's what unites us. We talk a lot about how Muslims are, disunited nowadays, and they're fighting with one another. You have sects, and you have differences of opinions, and different madhabs, and all this, and different ideologies, and different schools of thoughts, right? And we're saying, no, the ummah needs to unite. You need to unite. You need to unite. But no one's talking about we need to unite in our purpose and our vision. Once the vision is there and it's clear for all, then khalas, we're united the way we are. Nothing has to change. Only the vision and the mission has to be clear to all. And we all have to realign to that common vision, which the Kaaba is a symbol of, right? If you go to the Haram, you go to the Kaaba, you go to Umrah or Hajj, you see everyone praying in that one direction. Do we worship the Kaaba as an idol? No. It's a symbol of unity of purpose. It's a symbol of unity of vision. That's really what it is. That's what Tawheed is, right? Yes, we believe in one Allah, but with that comes the whole package of way of life, right? We believe in that one way of life. And we talked about it in Surah Al-Kafirun, where there's a system A versus system B. We want that system A lifestyle. This is what we're striving for. This is what we want to establish on this earth. We know what our purpose is. Allah created us to, worship Him entirely, enslave ourselves to Him entirely in our life, and to make this world a better place, so that we can earn our seat in Jannah. That's basically it. That's the common purpose of every single Muslim. And so this is what also is part of this message here. And that's what the Quran keeps talking about, unity of purpose. It's programming us to that same way of thinking, same attitude, same frame of mind. So, and this is the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam. The legacy of Ibrahim. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, what is he known for? He's known for his sacrifices. He's known for his, creative way of explaining what Tawheed is. With when the sun was, the sun and the moon and the stars, when these were being worshipped other than Allah, he told his people, "La ahibbul afilin." I don't like things that fade away. I don't like things that, become inferior. And so he used creative ways of explaining what Tawheed is. He destroyed the idols and then, told them to ask the big idol who did it. So he used very interesting and creative ways to explain what Tawheed was. At the same time, his stance, right, his attitude. We know Tawheed in his attitude. He had full trust in Allah, the One, when he left his family in the desert. He had full trust in Allah, the One, when he was about to enter the fire, and got saved. He had full trust in Allah, the One. His Tawheed was so strong that he was able to, fulfill the dream and obey the dream and, literally slaughter his son. He was ready to do it. This is what Tawheed does. So Tawheed is not just about believing Allah is one. It's not just a numbers game. It's more than that. It's a belief that transforms into your attitude and the way you see this world. It really changes the way you see things in life. Yeah. That's the impact Tawheed has on the lives of a believer. That's what Tawheed did to the Sahaba. Their yaqeen, their certainty became so strong. Their reliance on Allah, the One, became so strong, and their willingness to struggle for the path, the same united purpose, became so strong. That's what Tawheed does. So if you think about it, I don't want to sound negative, but look at the Muslims nowadays. Yes, all Muslims, ask any Muslim, do you believe in Allah the One? Like, yeah, of course, man. Do you have you memorized Surah Al Ikhlas? Yeah. But where is Tawheed in their lives? Do you really see Tawheed in their lives, in their way they think, in the way they decide, the way they do business, the way they act, just the way you think, your trust, And we talked about the 5 forms of, or now there's 6, right? I keep adding stuff to it, of shirk, hidden shirk, right? There's shirk of, what were they? Love, shirk of love. Is that common nowadays in society where people love? Yes, they love Allah. You ask any Muslim, do you love Allah? Yes. But do you love Him the most? More than your children, more than your parents, more than anything else? More than your hobbies and your entertainment? And they'll be like, yeah, I love Allah. But in reality, if you look at their life, who do they love more? Other than Allah. There's shirk of love. There's shirk of love, That's not what they talk about all the time. That's not. If you love Allah, then you think about Him all the time. You think about the fear of displeasing Him all the time. So there's shirk of love there. Shirk of obedience. Ask any Muslim, do you believe in Allah the One? Yes. Are all Muslims obeying Allah? Are they cheating in their businesses? Are they praying 5 times a day? Are they being good to their parents? Are they lying? Are they watching shamelessness or no? So obedience is messed up. So shirk of love, shirk of obedience, shirk of tawakkul. So many people, Muslims, the trust in Allah is weak. Therefore, Tawheed is weak. So Tawheed is part of it is, yes, we believe in Allah as one, and that's the obvious and very important part of this, okay? But the discussion here for Muslims is more about, weakness of Tawheed. You can have Tawheed, but you can have weak Tawheed when your love is not as strong, when your tawakkul on Allah is not that strong, when your trust in Him is not that strong, when your sincerity is not pure. Remember, there's shirk of sincerity also. You're doing something for Allah's sake, but part of it is for fame, part of it for seeking appreciation from people and money and all these other hidden forms of shirk. Riya, what will people say? There's, we said shirk of fear. Fearing other than Allah, fearing losing your job, feeling what people will say, feeling what society will say. And then there's shirk of dua, which is another, very common thing in the Muslim world nowadays. People making dua to other than Allah, people seeking help from other than Allah. very clear shirk, yani, you know. So, you know, when we look at Surah Surah Al Ikhlas, and its name is Surah Al Ikhlas. Of course, it has more than 20 names, the surah, by the way. Okay, but I don't want to get into that too much, yani. But literally, books of tafsir, more than 20 different names for the surah. But the famous one is Ikhlas, right? So you think about Tawheed and Ikhlas. Wait a second. What's the link? Allah's talking about His oneness. He's talking about the fact that, you know, He's Samad. You know, we all need Him. He doesn't need us. And the fact that He has no sons and no parents. Nothing is like Him. Where is Ikhlas in all of this? Yani? So that's something we'll discuss, inshallah. You know. So talking about as a background, just so you understand the context, the kuffar, they believed in Allah. Literally, they believed in Allah as one. You ask them, do you believe in Allah? Yes, we believe in Allah. But they believed in Allah al-wahid, not al-ahad. Here Allah says, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. There's a difference between ahad and wahid. And by the way, we know from Sirah that Bilal radiallahu anh got tortured for saying this word, ahadun ahad, ahadun ahad. So obviously this is a word that is literally annoying the Quraysh. Although they believe in Allah, wahid. But what was Quraysh's problem? And by the way, you know, I ask my Hindu barber all the time, like we have these discussions while he cuts my hair, and about his deen, and they also believe in God, the one God. They believe in Him. You know, ask any Hindu who knows a bit about the deen. They say, yeah, of course we believe in the one God, but we have these other idols to help us get closer to Him, and you know, because we are, you know, very weak, and we need people to get us closer to Him, and we need these idols to we can visualize who God is. So, yani, the same concept is repeated over and over again. So, the kuffar of Quraysh, they believed in Allah, the Creator. The Creator, they believed in Him. And when you believe in Allah as a Creator, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow any of His rules or His obedience, because He created me and khalas, and now I can do whatever I want. You know? Whereas for them to believe in ahad, that was a problem. Why? Because ahad means there's only one authority over you now. You can't be your own authority anymore. Whereas when you believe in Allah just being the Creator, being al-Khaliq, khalas, I can do whatever I want. But ahad meant, no. Not only is He a Creator, He is your Rabb. He is your Master. And Him being your Master, you're His slave. Therefore, you only follow His rules. You only follow His guidance. You only obey Him. And this is what bothers not just Quraysh, even a lot of people today. We are people by nature who don't like rules, right? No student likes his teacher to tell him to do homework or to you know, quiz time. Nobody likes his boss to tell him what to do. Come on time, leave on time, take permission before leaving. You know, if you're not coming, tell me. No, like, this is human nature. We don't like rules. We don't like, even children with parents, right? Parents say, tidy up your room. What's the reaction? No. Parents say it's time for lunch. We don't like people telling us what to do. People don't like cops. You know, we don't like to follow rules. And therefore, this is part of human nature, that when, and Rasulullah ﷺ, his demands, were they small demands or big demands? No, they were big, life-changing demands. Yani Islam came with like a full package of complete transformation. Yani, you'd have to change the way you think about this world. You have to, and you know, look at the Sahaba and how they transformed. Yeah. The way you talk, the way you walk, the way you sleep, the way you do business. Everything about you changes when you become a Muslim. Yani. Or it's supposed to. And we're not saying overnight. Yani, not if there's any non-Muslim listening to this lecture, we're not scaring people away and saying, like, listen, you gotta change overnight 360, 180 degrees. No. It happens gradually, but that's part of the package. And by the way, in this transformation, you will enjoy it and you love it, because it's good for you in dunya and akhirah. There's benefit in it. It's not like you're torturing yourself. So this was the problem. The Quraysh, they didn't want to submit to that one system and that one way of life, where they were equal to the slaves, where they had to now give, where they can't be selfish anymore, where they can't have that authority, and now they have an authority over them, you know? Before they like to share authority. I mean, they like to have authority being the custodians of the Kaaba, but yeah, we believe in Allah al-Khaliq. But him being the authority, the Rabb, because one of the meanings of Rabb is al-Sayyid, right? Authority. They didn't want that. That's why Rabb was something that would sting them as a name. And also Ahad. It would sting them because him and only him. That's what Ahad literally means. Because when you have Wahid, that means you have Thnaina and Thalatha and Arba'a also with it. But Ahad means there's no number 2, there's no number 3. Ahad is unique. So unique concept of oneness. That's what Ahad is. And so Quraysh's concept of God was wrong, basically. That's really the problem. They believed in God, but their concept of who God was wrong. And so they actually went to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him, describe to us who your God is. What is he made of? Is he made of gold? Is he made of silver? Is he made of wood? Literally, that's what they said. And they said, so tell us more about his lineage. So who are his parents? What about his children? You know, give us his linealogy. So this is the context of the revelation of the surah. This surah was revealed to answer these questions. Who is God? Any non-Muslim asks you who is God, this is how you need to answer. You know, and it's supposed to be a very simple way of teaching Tawheed and Aqeedah, or the belief system or creed. It's supposed to be very simple. So, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. You know, say that Allah is one. Why قُلْ? Why did Allah didn't just say Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, lam yalid? Why قُلْ is there now? We learned that for Surah Al-Kafirun, قُلْ was there because the Prophet ﷺ is being told to go and confront the Quraysh, and that this message is coming from a higher authority. You can't compromise with Rasulullah. This is directions from a higher authority. He's just a messenger. Here, Qul also is, in a sense, Allah is telling us that say it out loud, that Allah is one. Have pride in your belief. Have confidence. And Qul also means that first internalize it yourself and then share it with others. Internalize it and share it with others. That's what Qul is here. And of course, Qul also because they asked the question, so now Rasulullah is telling them, but whose words are these? Allah's words. He's just delivering. You know, so when the Quraysh are hearing these answers, they know it's coming from a higher authority. Allah is literally telling them on behalf of Rasulullah who He is. So this is basically the correct, Surah Al Ikhlas is about the correct concept of God, correct concept of who God is. So, and we also know that, if it wasn't for Tawheed on this earth, the skies and the heavens and the earth would fall apart. Okay, they would fall apart. And literally that's what's going to happen on the Day of Judgment. Before, one of the signs of the Day of Judgment is a soft wind will blow, and all the believers will die. And then there will be none but disbelievers on earth, and that's where the Day of Judgment and the skies will start tearing apart, the sama'un shaqqat, and all this stuff will start happening. Why? Because there's no more Tawheed on earth. So, one of the reasons why Tawheed, one of the reasons why this whole entire universe is intact and in place and everything is, working the way it's supposed to, is because of Tawheed. That's such a heavy thing. It's not a small thing. And that's why it's 1/3 of the Quran. And we know the story of the Sahabi who used to recite this surah in every salah, and then, the other Sahaba complained to the Prophet that, this guy doesn't change. He keeps reciting the same surah. He's being biased. And so Rasulullah ﷺ asked him, he said, I love this surah. And so he said that, this love for you will give you Jannah, inshallah. Your love for this surah will give you Jannah, because it's such a heavy topic and a heavy surah that if you love it, then you're set, inshallah. It's also known as Nur al-Quran. This is the light of the Quran, because this is the essence of the whole Quran. And also the concept of Tawheed, we learn that from other religions, if you look at Greek mythology, or even Hindu scriptures, what is it all about? It's all about Greek, gods fighting with one another, right? in the Hindu scriptures, literally, it talks about this battle that happened, right? The Mahabharata, which is literally like a battle, yani. The deen is, one of its fundamentals is like battle and war and fighting between gods and arguments, and Greek mythology is all about also Zeus and the god of lightning and the god of love and all these things happening. So there's clashes happening, such a complicated way of looking at life, yani. Whereas God is one, uniquely one. It's so simple, subhanAllah. Even to the fitrah, it just makes sense that God is one. So what is the word Allah? There's differences of opinion whether Allah is a unique name for Allah or whether it's Al-Ilah, because Ilah means a God that's worshipped. So Al-Ilah would be the God that's worshipped. Okay, and so what does Ilah means? Aliha has many meanings. One of them, or a few of them, is the one who is worshipped, the one who is obeyed, the one who is turned to. They use Aliha for the child who turns to his mother for milk in desperation. That's also one of the meanings of Aliha. So Al-Ilah, the one who is worshipped, the one who is obeyed, the one who is turned to in times of desperation, or in all times, the one who you need constantly. Okay, and this is where a samad comes, which we'll look at in a second. So even in the Hebrew language, they use that same term for God, Eloah. In the Aramaic language, Ilah. So very similar, derivations of the same word, Allah, in different religions. And so let's get right into it. So, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Say that He is Allah. So why did Allah say He? Say that He is Allah, the One. Allahu Ahad. He is referring to the fact that you guys already know Him. Because this Quran is talking to Quraysh. You already know that God you claim, or the God that you already believe in as being the Creator, Allah, He in fact is Ahad. He in fact is uniquely one. Okay, Ahad. So they already know this God. It's not like it's a new concept for them. They already know. Allah is only correcting their concept of this oneness. And here also we learn about fitrah. The insan, human being, is born on this fitrah where he knows that he's already signed on the deal of slavery, if you remember, right? They've already confronted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and agreed to become slaves, and He's the master. And so for all human beings, by fitrah, by human nature, they already know that Allah is one. It just makes sense to them. But what happens through time? We get corrupted. These ideas get corrupted. So one of the beautiful meanings of this word Ahad is that Ahad, in the sense of existence, there's only one God in existence, unique existence of one God. And the other is that one God who is in charge. There's only one God, this Allah, Huwallahu Ahad. He is the one who is solely in charge of everything that's happening on earth. Which, if we just internalize this name, will be sufficient for us. Because at the end of the day, we want things to get done in our life, right? We want to get married, we want to get a job, we want, promotion, we want a, better lifestyle, we want guidance. Allah's saying He is in control. He is the only one in control. And therefore, if we connect to Him and He has the authority and the control, then what? All our matters get resolved. Everything that we need, it's in His hands, literally. He has the authority, He has the control over every single thing that happens. And therefore, Allah is giving us open access to Him. Connect to me, believe in me, I will sort out everything. You don't need to ask anybody else. I'm the one who's taking care of all things. Just to give you a worldly example to make you understand this, you get into a traffic accident, or you cross the red light, or you're caught speeding, but you know who? You know the director of traffic. He's your buddy. So what are you going to do now? You're in trouble. You need to get out of trouble. You have access to the guy in charge. What do? You use that authority, right? You use that connection. You have a connection. So you call him up and say, listen, I just got caught. I was speeding. I just got caught. Can you hook me up? And so within 5 seconds, he's going to send a message to the duty officer in charge. let him go. So, what saved you and what made you relaxed about you skipping the red light and all this? The fact that you have connection with the guy in charge. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. But here Allah is saying, I am the one in charge. I am taking care, I'm getting things done for you. Nothing is happening outside my control. And therefore, if you connect to me, you have nothing to worry about in life. Just this thought, if we internalize it, would really change the way we view the world, and all our worries would go away. Right? Why would you be worried if you have full access to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And another part of this is the things that happen in our life. Sometimes bad things happen to us. We go through tests, we go through difficulties, sadness, someone passes away, someone's sick, you lose your job, you have some sort of suffering, some trial. Allah is saying, I am the one in control. And therefore, when you know that Allah is in control, then you know that there is some good in it. If Allah is in control, then khalas. I have nothing to worry about. Whatever He does for me, I'm willing to take it, because there must be some good in it. Which is actually one thing that, it's a bit off topic, but there's this, usually atheists and people who don't believe in religion and God, they have this argument that if God this concept of God is really true, then why do we have evil on earth? Well, one concept is that there is no evil on earth. There's goodness in everything. Allah did not create evil. It's just the way we perceive things. There is good in it. Yes, it may seem in the outside external world, in our eyes, it seems evil, but there is no such thing as evil. Everything is good, but we don't see it. We will see it one day. There is wisdom in everything, even in death. Atheists have this argument, how come God created death? I mean, such a tragic thing, and people have to cry and depressed. But there's good in good. Have you ever thought about it? There's good in death? Imagine if there was no death. It's actually a nice movie to make, a world where there is no death. Imagine the population problems we'll have. There will be traffic everywhere. Your house, like your grandparents will be in your house with you. Not enough housing. Jobs. Your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather will be hanging on to his job of, being the CEO of the company, and therefore people will be out of jobs. Schools, not enough schools, not enough jobs. No inheritance. Graveyards, there won't be any graveyards anymore. There won't be any concept of teaching anymore. Because why do people teach? To leave knowledge behind, right? No one will teach. Everyone will leave knowledge to themselves. So just try to imagine a world without death. It would be boring, right? So, there is good and khair in everything, whether we see it or not. We know through sickness, purification happens. And we know death for us is just like a temporary stop, It's going to be just from the time from Dhuhr Salah till Asr Salah. That's how the grave time will be. And then, you're resurrected, and then it's either, eternal heaven or eternal hell, So, the unique, so what does ahad mean? There's no equal to Him. Nothing is equal to Him. There's nothing second to Him. He doesn't have any affiliates. He doesn't have any competition. He is one. He is alone. Therefore, when you rely on Him, when you connect to Him, you have nothing to fear. You have, the biggest power on your side. The one who is, the most powerful, the one who has full control over everything, He is on your side. Just think of that. It empowers the believer, this concept of ahad. When He is on your side, what more do you need? And this is something that the Sahaba internalized. That's why they used to go to battles with, enemies that were, 3 times more than them in size, in numbers, right? Because they internalized this idea that Allah al-Ahad is with us. And He alone is enough for us. We don't need anyone else. And so everything about Allah is unique in His oneness. Okay, that's one of the meanings of ahad. And just to also, I've covered this before, but just to reconfirm this, that to understand the difference between this uniqueness of Allah's attributes versus our attributes. Because Allah is Ar-Rahman, He is the, most merciful. But at the same time, you can have human beings who have mercy in them. So how is our mercy different than Allah's mercy? We mentioned 3 things. Anyone remember what they are? No, huh? Okay, so number 1, our attributes have a beginning, whereas Allah's beginning and an end, whereas Allah's attributes have no beginning, no end. So my sight, okay, Allah is Al-Basir, He sees also, but I see also. But my sight had a beginning. Before I was born, my sight didn't exist. When I die, my sight will end. Whereas Allah's ability to see had no beginning and had no end. It's infinite in space, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, my eyesight is limited to how far I can see, whereas Allah's sight is unlimited. Okay, so it's different than infinity. Okay? And the third one is the ownership. My eyesight was given to me by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's gifted to me. Whereas Allah's sight was not given to Him by anyone. He owns it Himself. He's the owner. So these 3 things. The idea that His attributes are infinite, His attributes have no limits, and third, He has full ownership of all His attributes. So لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There's nothing like Him. Nothing like Him. So Ahad is the unique one. And of course, Ahad negates a lot of the false ideologies of many religions, like the idea of Trinity, the God, the Holy Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? This idea of 3 is 1, 1 is 3. Allah is saying, no, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. There is one God. There is one God. And of course, it negates all the other religions where they say, yes, there's one God, but we need these other gods to get us closer to Him, like the Hindu beliefs, like the, like we said, the Greek mythology beliefs. It's destroying all these ideologies by saying, no, there is only one God, and He is unique in His nature. Now, just one idea about the concept of slavery, right? Tawheed and ubudiyah. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. Every single human being has this need to worship. You have this need by fitrah to enslave yourself to something. Now Allah is saying, when you enslave yourself entirely to me alone, Allahu Ahad, then you're free from other forms of slavery. But the moment you don't enslave yourself to the one God, Allah, then you become slave to other things, other filthy, worldly things. And these are things that, in some cases are seen, physical things, in some cases they're hidden things. But what's more relevant to our times is the hidden shirk, the hidden idols that we have, right? The idol of your desires, the idol of wealth. The Prophet said, "Ta'isa abdu dirham wa dinar." The one that he is wretched, he is, going to be tired. The one who worships wealth. And do we have people today who worship wealth? Yes or no? More than Allah, or all for them, their life is all about wealth, 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 wealth. Yes, you ask them, do you believe in Allah? Yes, I believe in Allah. But who are they really worshipping in their lifestyle? It's the wealth. For some people, they worship their desires. أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Right, the one who has taken his hawa, his desire, as his ilah. This is mentioned in the Quran. Some people will take their own desire as their God. And so for a lot of people, this is what their God is, their hidden shirk, the hidden tawheed. So Allah is saying, you want to be my slave, I will free you from all these other forms of slavery. For people who have addictions and bad habits, smoking, drugs, alcohol, they're enslaved to these habits, enslaved to these bad habits. They can't get out of it. So that's a weakness of tawheed. If someone who's addicted to cigarettes or alcohol or whatever, drugs, there's a weakness in tawheed. You claim you believe in Allah as one and you enslave yourself to Allah as the one, but there's this other mini God that you can't get rid of. This habit that you can't get rid of. So these are some things that are relevant to our times. And so, knowing He is one, also some of the implications of this is, Allahu Ahad means that you'll only live your life for Him. Now these are some deeper meanings, okay? So you live your life only for Him, for no one else, not for yourself. You're not selfish. You're not living your life for your family. You're not living your life for anything else. You're living your life for Allah's sake. And then seeking His pleasure only. This is where ikhlas comes in, right? Everything you're doing it for His sake only. For His pleasure only. You know, you're praying for His sake, you're going to work for His sake, you're going to the gym for His sake, you're taking care of your parents for His sake, you're taking care of your kids for His sake, you're getting married for His sake. And anything you don't do for His sake is of no benefit to you. You know, it's going to be of no benefit to you because your whole life should be completely enslaved to Allah. So if I was to illustrate to you in a diagram, our relationship with Allah, so if Allah is here, our relationship with Him, the primary relationship is a relationship of master-slave. Okay? Master, not creator and creation, no. Master and slave, because there's responsibility that comes with this relationship. That's our fundamental relationship with Allah. Now, as a slave, then all the other roles come into play. So, I have to act as a slave when I'm at my workplace by conducting haram or halal business. I have to act as a slave when it comes to going to school by doing good and not cheating in my exams. I have to act as a slave when I get married. So I get married to fulfill my role of slave. I take care of my parents to please Allah by being His slave. I take care of my neighbors in my role of slave. So you see, it's a very simple concept if we just understood it. Everything goes back to our relationship with Allah being the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what Tawheed is. That is what Ikhlas is. Dedicating your life for Him. Obeying Him and, nothing but Him. And anything that goes against His obedience, you don't do it. And sacrificing everything for His sake, Thinking about Him all the time. Whatever decision you do, ask yourself, is this going to please Allah or no? This is part of the implications of slavery. Then Allah says, Allahu Samad. After saying that He is one, which is, really the ikhlas part of this. Anything we don't do with ikhlas will be of no benefit. And we talked about this in Surah Al-Zalzala. That anything that's done without ikhlas, when there's other associations in it, and ikhlas means 100% for Allah's sake. If there's 1%, 0.001% for something else, that will not be counted for us on the Day of Judgment. There will be no weight for it on the Day of Judgment. And so then Allah says, Allahu Samad. The one who is enough to turn to. It's such a beautiful word. And what's sad is so many people have memorized the surah, but they don't know what. You ask them what does Samad mean, they don't know. Samad, of course, has many meanings, but one of the primary meanings is the one who is enough to turn to. The one who is enough to depend on, whereas He does not depend on us. That's what Samad primarily means. And so if do human beings have needs? Yes or no? We have, family members who are sick that we want to get healed. We have, people who are suffering in terms of financial difficulties that they want our financials to be sorted out. There's people who want to get married, they're not getting married. There's so many needs we have. Allah is saying, As-Samad is enough for you. You need to call on Allah As-Samad in your du'as. Turn to Him if you want a promotion in your job. Turn to Him if you want to get married. Turn to Him if you want your sick relative to get, healed. Turn to Him to give you patience. Turn to Him to guide you. Turn to Him, turn to Him, turn to Him, turn to Him. This is what As-Samad is. It's an open invitation for all of us to go back to Him because He is enough. Now, when you doubt, when you don't have full trust that Allah is enough, then you won't believe in As-Samad. And Ibrahim a.s. understood this name, As-Samad. He would turn to Him all the time. The Prophet ﷺ understood this. They would turn to Him. Before the battles, you'd see the Prophet ﷺ, raising his hands and making dua and all night long, dua. Why? He knew As-Samad. That's all you need. Al-Ahad and Samad. You know that He's the one in charge. فَخَلَص, go to Him. In the first ayah, Allah told us, I'm in charge. I'm the only one in charge. In the second ayah, He's saying, therefore, turn to me. You see the link? Therefore, you only need to turn to me through As-Samad. If you know that I'm the only one in charge, therefore, now, all you need is to turn to me. And so As-Samad also means the one who you only seek as your ultimate goal. That's also As-Samad. So this is also part of Ikhlas, that we only seek His pleasure, only seek His reward in Akhirah. That's what we're living for. He's our ultimate goal. We seek to see Him one day. That's really the journey of our life. It's supposed to be, When you're someone with Tawheed in your heart, that's, when you think about Samad, that's your ultimate goal. You want to meet Him one day. And you want Him to be pleased with you. SubhanAllah. Okay. And then another meaning of As-Samad here is that He does not need us. He is above us. Because again, some people have these doubts that why does Allah want us to keep thanking Him? Ma'adallah, they have this doubt that, how like kings, they like to be praised. So they try to relate this to Allah, that why does Allah like it when we praise Him? Why does He need us to praise Him? Does Allah need us to praise Him? No, He does not. Okay? So Allah does not need us to praise Him. Allah does not need us to pray to Him. Allah does not need us to, pray for Him. He's in Surah Al-Fatiha, we're not Alhamdulillah. He is the self-deserving of praise, whether we praise Him or not. Alhamd. That's why it was a noun, right? We didn't say Nahmadullah. So His hamd does not depend on us. If all of humanity stopped praising Him, will that decrease in any sense or way or form of His perfection? No. Okay, so that's what As-Samad also means. As-Samad also means free from flaws, free from any kind of faults or blemishes. Samad also means someone who cannot be overcome. Again, if He cannot be overcome, therefore you turn to Him. He's like the final reliance, And another very interesting thing, which I remember listening to a talk of Ahmed Didat talking about once, a tribe that were living in the middle of the jungle. They had never came across Islam or the Prophet or anything about Islam. But what did they come to as a conclusion? They said, we will worship the God that has no holes. Literally. So their God, the name of their God was the God that has no holes. That's one of the meanings of Samad actually. The one with no holes. Why? Because the holes we have primarily, like the main hole in our body is the hole for getting food, right? So one of the meaning of Samad is the one who does not need to eat or drink. Because for us to sustain our lives, we need to eat and drink, right? So that tribe in the middle of the jungle figured out that, listen, we all need to eat and drink to survive, otherwise we'll die. Therefore, the perfect definition of God is the one who does not need to eat or drink because He does not die. You see? It's such an amazing conclusion that they reached. Without any, no Quran, nothing. The God with no holes. The God who does not need drink and food to survive, subhanAllah. The eternal living. And lam yalid wa lam yulad will come. And subhanAllah, we know that birth comes from, also, you need a hole for the baby to come out from, literally. So there's this concept of, feed and drink and the continuation of lineage. So for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has no holes, therefore no children, no parents. It's amazing, subhanAllah. Such an amazing conclusion they reached. So As-Samad also means like hollow, like when something has holes in it or it's empty from inside, that's also Samad. Samad is something that's full from inside versus hollow. Okay? So Samad is something that has substance in it, it's not just empty from inside. He has no holes in it. Because something that has holes in it, it's empty from inside, right? Empty from inside. And interesting thing here is, when Adam alayhi salam was created, he was made of clay. He was created, they say, for like 40 years. And so what would Shaitan do? Iblis, he would like roam around, look at his holes, and he would like analyze, this creature has holes in it, it has weaknesses in it. I'll get him from these holes then. And subhanAllah, they ate from the tree, literally, one of the, holes of the body. So also in Samad, we learn about this concept of shafa'ah and intercession. This is one of the problems of the mushrikun. Why did they associate partners with Allah? Because they weren't good enough, and they decided that, we'll have some people to hook on to, some people to hang on to that will save us. And so through As-Samad, we're learning that you can turn directly to Him. You don't need any partners to help you out. You have direct access. You don't need these idols. So Quraysh, in a nutshell, so far, the discussion is, Quraysh believed in Allah, the Creator. Did they believe in Allah Al-Ahad? No. Did they believe in Allah As-Samad? No. Okay, so Allah is clarifying their belief here. And then, Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He, I don't like this word begets nor begotten, because we don't use this in our language nowadays. In simple language, He does not give birth, nor was He born. Very simple, yani. I don't know why they didn't choose these words, yani. But Lam yalid, He did not give birth to any children. Because what did the Quraysh believe? That Allah had daughters. What were those daughters? Who were the angels? And other ideologies where they say Jesus is the Son of God. Okay? Not true according to the statement. It's cancelling that out. Some of the Jews, not all, some Jews said Uzair ibn Allah. Uzair is the son of God. So out of the question. Okay? So Lam yalid, He does not have children. And interesting that why do human beings need to have children? Or why do human beings like to have children? Yeah. To continue the legacy, right? To continue the legacy, to continue the name. Does Allah need to continue the name? Does Allah need His name to be, does Allah need, to get children? No, because His name is already infinite. He is there, He has no beginning, no end. Whereas human beings, why do they need children? Because they know they're going to die one day. And therefore, let me get as many children as I can before I die so that my legacy continues. Yeah. Okay? So that's one of the weaknesses of human beings. We want children to continue our legacy because we know that death is a reality. Ask even an atheist, death is a reality for them. Whereas Allah is Al-Hayyul Qayyum. Al-Hayyul Qayyum. And another thing I forgot to mention here is that, when it comes to our demands, when we seek things from human beings, when we need help in worldly matters, sometimes, like you go to a king, right? If 10 people go to him directly, one's asking for, a house, the other's asking for a car, the other's asking for help with his job, the other's asking, what's the king going to say? The king is going to say, guys, wait a second, one at a time. I can't listen to 10 people at the same time. Right or no? It gets too much. So the queuing system comes into place. Whereas Allah is saying, As-Samad, come to me, don't worry about the fact that, whether it's you alone asking or 10 billion people asking simultaneously, I will ask for your du'as. And you go to Umrah or Hajj, you see all these millions of people asking and making dua, and Shaitan comes and gives you doubts. How can Allah listen to every single dua of these people? And they're asking random things. And they're asking in different languages. Some guys are asking in Swahili, someone's asking in Urdu, someone's asking in Japanese, someone's asking in Chinese. So how can Allah, through As-Samad, we learn what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to answer all these du'as simultaneously without any queuing system. And He's enough. Al-Hayyul Qayyum, and He doesn't get tired. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. You see why Ayat al-Kursi is such a heavy ayah? Because, the king, if let's say 10 people come asking for him, okay, he'll meet them one at a time. Then 10 other people come, then 10 other people come. Then eventually, what's going to happen to the king? He'll be like, guys, khalas, I'm tired, man. Come back tomorrow. Right? لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. He doesn't get tired from us asking. So keep asking. That's what As-Samad teaches us. Keep asking. Don't give up. And don't say, Allah, I asked too much, Ya Allah. Enough for today. No, it's never enough. Yeah. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. And having a son implies you have an equal. You have a wife, right? Because can you have children without a wife? No, right? And so here also, Allah is hinting to the fact that lam yalid. Why? Because He just told you ahad. Therefore, He has no equal. Because for you to have children, you need an equal. And so it's a continuation of the same argument that because He doesn't have any children, because obviously He doesn't have any equal. He doesn't have a sahiba. He doesn't have, and it's mentioned in the Quran. He doesn't have a sahiba. He doesn't have a partner. So He is, and this is one of the meanings of kufuwan, by the way. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have a partner. Anyone equal to Him. And so, لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. Also, we learn here that we need children to help us in old age. One of the desires of parents is, I need children. Why? Because when I'm old, I need them to take care of me. Right? That's the wish of every parent, right? That when the children are young, the parent takes care of children. When children are old, and when the parents are old, children take care of parents now. So we need we need children to help us in old age. Allah is saying, I help you all the time. As-Samad, I'm there for you all the time. And at the same time, Allah doesn't need children, because does Allah, ma'adallah, get old? No. There's no concept of age for Him, because He has no beginning and no end. Lam yalid wa lam yulad, and He has no parents. Okay? No beginning, no end. Wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad, and there is none like Him, none equivalent to Him, none equal to Him, no partner to Him, no one equal in rank to Him. There's nothing like Him. Lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. And like I told you, kufuwan also means sahiba. He doesn't have a wife, because a wife is also equivalent. And also, no competition. There's no competition. Another, thing that should give us this empowerment, a believer should be empowered. There is zero competition with Him. Because no one can, challenge Him. Khalas, if Allah is on your side, you're a winner. So this is some of the implications of Tawheed. So there's basically about 3 parts to this surah, if you look at the overall picture. The first part talks about His oneness. Okay? قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Second part, Allahu Samad. Allah is teaching us, in Samad there is mercy and grace, right? Allah is telling us that I am there to help you out. You can depend on me all the time. It's a mercy, right? Come to me. It's an invitation. I am the one. Part 2 is, it's an invitation. Come and ask me for something. So that's a sign of Allah's mercy. And the third one is, Allah is free from weakness. لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. These two, these are freeing Allah from any sort of weakness, because for mankind, we have weaknesses, we have death. And therefore we need children, and we need dependence on these things. Whereas Allah is independent of this, and therefore He is free of weakness. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. There's no competition to Him, there's nothing equal to Him. So another way of looking at this is, ayah number 1 proves Tawheed and negates all forms of partnership and shirk. Right? That's what's قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. What about part 2? Allahu Samad proves His perfection and negates any other weaknesses. Because As-Samad is the perfect one. He has no flaws. Okay? Versus us, we have flaws. And then number 3, proving His eternal existence. Lam yalid wa lam yulad, proving His eternal existence. Versus us, we're not eternal. We need lineage, we need children, because of the idea of death. And then walam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad is glorifying Him and His uniqueness. Versus us, where we, of course, we're nowhere compared to Him in terms of His perfection and His, like you have children, you have wives that are equal to you nowadays, in society. You have human beings, whereas Allah is, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There's nothing like Him. So finally, what are some of the lessons for us to live by from this surah? Okay, practical lessons. So if you're sleeping, you can wake up now. So number 1, the unity of purpose. Unity of purpose, unity of one goal, one mission, This is the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam, this is the legacy of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is the legacy that the Prophet ﷺ has passed on to us. You know? This is what this surah is teaching us. This is tawheed in our lives, practically speaking. That we need to also have that legacy of making this world a better place, you know, bringing people back to the Sirat al-Mustaqim, bringing back to guidance, living a life to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to earn this Jannah. The unity of purpose. And of course, unity of people in that purpose. And then Allahu Samad, also a beautiful thing that we can live by with this name, As-Samad, is that just like Allah is free of need, in a way Allah is teaching us, you also need to be free of need from people around you. Don't ever beg anyone. Come to me only. So this name As-Samad gives us confidence that we only need Allah. I don't need to beg someone. I don't need to beg my boss for a promotion. I don't need to go beg anybody and you know. And because Allah has empowered me to get full access to Him, As-Samad. And then وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. How do you live by this name? وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. There's nothing like Him. He is unique. In a way, you know, this Allama Iqbal, he said this, that we also need to be people who strive to be unique in our societies. Because for most part, societies are corrupt, right or no? So through this ayah, how do you live by this? By striving to be unique. You strive to be the source of goodness in your society. If there's corruption and bloodshed happening in the world, you be the source of goodness. Be unique. Through وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. Just like Allah is unique, you also be unique. You be like, you know, we said, بَدَأَ الْإِسْلَامُ غَرِيبًا. This Islam started as a strange thing. The strangers were the people who came into this deen as a minority. Remember, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ. Those were the strange people, the minority. They were the unique people. And then وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ. Then the people who were sitting in the back seat, when they saw that victory came, then they entered. When they saw that, you know, everything is clear, the victory came, we don't need to struggle, we can just enter Islam, they came in later on. Allah is saying, be unique. Be the ones who do things differently. Be people who, of course, not in the sense that be a weirdo, become a weirdo, but be unique. In the sense that if you see, you know, evil happening around, you be the source of goodness. Be proactive, be the source of uniqueness for you. So inshallah, with that we conclude Surah Al Ikhlas, a beautiful surah that has heavy implications, yani. So think about it and ponder upon its meanings. Not just the fact that Allah is one, it's not a numbers game, it's a lifestyle, it's a way of thinking, an attitude. That we have Allah on our side. And Allah alone is enough for us, for all our matters. And we seek His pleasure alone. We live our life for Him, for His pleasure. And we don't seek appreciation from people. We don't seek, you know, any monetary gains from this job. We are His slaves and we're happy to be His slaves. And we love Him only. We obey Him only. We're sincere to Him. We trust Him fully. We fear none but Him. We seek no one's dua except His, or make dua only to Him. This is what Tawheed is. And you know, the next two surahs, Surah Al-Falaq and Nas, are like the two guardians that will guard this Surah Al-Ikhlas. So think of Surah Al-Ikhlas coming down with two guardian angels. One to protect it from external evils, which is Surah Al-Falaq, and then the other that will protect it from internal evils, which is Surah Al-Nas, which we will inshallah cover in the next two surahs. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.